Right. Well, I hope we're live. I pray that we're live. My CPU is going absolutely through the roof. But good evening, everyone. Welcome for the first time in 2023 to PSF2. We are here tonight, of course, for round number 5 of the championship, and that, of course, takes in the Portuguese Grand Prix from, of course, the historic Portimao circuit in Portugal. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking to the stream, of course, as always, on this fine Monday evening. And joining me in the commentary box, he is just doing a poll at this moment in time. I promise you he's here, though. It is Mr.
Trying
Evan
to.
Dalton. Evan, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. Welcome along to PSGL. My camera's completely frozen on the stream. I hope that's fixed itself. I do
It is.
apologise. That's a hideous image. But welcome along, everybody, to PSGL. We are back once again for the first time in 2023 for the PSF2 Championship. It's looking like it's going to be an absolute barnstormer around the Algarve International Circuit this evening, as the championship is spicing up. It certainly should be a good one.
It certainly should be a good one indeed, Mr. Dalton. As Steph, of course, didn't take the win, of course, last time out in Britain. That went to Axie, the king of Silverstone. Quite literally, he won it last season, of course, and then took it, of course, this season as well. And that puts him now seventh in the championship. It is still Steph though that leads the championship on 56 points. Namsco there in second on 54, and they're a little bit of a class above the rest at this point, at this stage. Volakonga there in third on 40 points, is 14 points behind, 16 points behind Steph, so that's basically a race win here in PSGL behind the championship leader. Nuther in fourth on 36, Stefano in fifth on 27, Aries in sixth on 25, Axie seventh on 24, Kian in eighth on 21, Dino, who's got a qualifying ban tonight, in ninth on 21, and then Schumacher there in 10th. So, Dino, I should say, on 18, Kian on 21, and Schumacher there in 10th on 16, even though I'm getting confused with the drivers' standings. But Steph leading the championship, of course, Evan, 2 points over Namsco. Both have been very consistent. How do you see this one playing out tonight?
Well, Steph's left us, I believe, hasn't he?
He has.
So yeah, Steph has left us, unfortunately, folks. So Steph won't be challenging for the championship, but in terms of playing out this evening in Portugal, it should be a very interesting race. Of course, we have the new championship leader, or he will become the new championship leader eventually. It is Namsco, who has quite a healthy margin of for Volakongan. I know James had tipped Volakongan to be right up there at the start of the season, and he certainly is. There's not been the most impressive performances for Volakongan. He's been arguably the slowest out of the championship rivals, but he's been consistent, and that's what you need in PSGL. He hasn't scored big points in Monaco or Silverstone, but picking up the win in Zandvoort and the podium in Canada has really put him in a good spot. Could do with a very good result tonight and could do with outscoring Namsco at the top of the championship, but I'm sure he'll be giving it all in what should be a fabulous race around this 15-cornered circuit.
Yeah, of course. And just to throw it out there, this is my favourite track, along with Jess, of course, who's going to be doing PSF1. I see her there in the chat. This is my favourite track to commentate on. I know the track map off by heart. But for anybody that doesn't know, 4.6 kilometres in length, 2.8 miles, 15 turns awaiting our drivers, of course, out on track tonight. Just the two DRS zones, one down the start finish straight, and then one down, of course, in towards turn 5, in towards the hairpin that is known as Torre Vip at turn 5. And Evan, this is a track, of course, that is not on the traditional Formula One calendar. Has been, though, in the past, in the pandemic days, of course, of Formula One. Portugal, though, Portimao, one of my favourite tracks to commentate on, and I think a really favourable track for racing as well.
I think it's a good track for racing. There's a 400-metre run from pole to turn number 1, which we don't usually see overtakes in. However, down that main straight in a normal lap, there is some opportunities. That main straight is really, really wide in here in Portimao. It is definitely has the capabilities for 3 or 4 wide, and it has been seen before in league racing. Whether we'll get it tonight in PSGL. Look, going 3 wide is something that you can enjoy because it doesn't happen often. 68% of the track at full throttle, certainly a lot of braking zones around this circuit. Some of the more difficult corners would be that 7-8 section in towards Samsung, the 10-11 section up the hill, one of the more difficult corners, and then there is some good overtaking opportunities. Really into that turn 3 would be the big one, because if you get a good run through 1 and 2, you will see yourself alongside a car or just a little bit behind into number 3. But certainly, James and Jess, you've great taste. It is a really, really interesting circuit.
It is a really interesting circuit, as my PS4 is going to turn itself off in 5 minutes. Nobody wants to see that as we transition, of course, into qualified tonight. You wouldn't be able to see anything that's happened, of course, out on track if that was the case. Luckily, though, the PS4 is not. We have got a few new drivers actually in PSF2 coming into tonight as well. I believe Jerry is a brand new driver, of course, from WOR. Same with FER Harry. They've both been a part of WOR Top Tier Season 13, which I'm not going to be covering next season. But I know them quite well. Very quick drivers. Not sure how they're going to go around here, but on their game day, on their real passion for, with their real passion for motorsport, Jerry and Harry should be right up there, you would imagine.
Yeah, I know Jerry from back in the PSGL F5 days. Jerry, very quick driver. I believe he had a good race around Portugal once upon a time in PSGL back, I believe it was the season opener a few seasons ago. I'm acting like I don't remember. I do remember it was the season opener a few seasons ago. But Jerry, very quick driver, as well as FER Harry, the second FER Harry to ever exist. But he's the second to be right up there in the PSGL top tiers. I do expect some big things from that man because he's a name coming into it, and usually when you have a name coming into motorsport, you quite almost always perform.
Yeah, definitely so. And another man that I have actually just clicked on, who was actually racing there in, well, number 8, as you see on your screen. OP Rowan, very interesting driver indeed. Of course, Rowan, I believe, used to be known as Now Up. Now, of course, part of the Outplayed Racing team, so congratulations to him on joining OP. And Rowan, of course, Now Up has had very good pace so far this season. Obviously, with that name change, he'd be hoping for very good pace, as one of his teammates, of course, in Kian, is the first man out on track to take on the paralytic, absolute great track that is, of course, Portimao. It should be an interesting one, and Kian is the first man out on track, and he possibly is a favourite for pole, I think.
He is, and I'm doing the poll now, and he's the first name I've typed in. So certainly a favourite for pole position. Keane has come in here setting blistering laps in the lower tiers. Some of his pole laps in F5 or F6, I believe, with the one he got promoted from, were good enough for pole position here in our tier, and sometimes even in F1. That's unheard of in the lower tiers. So Keane certainly coming in here with something to prove, and the owner himself is just going to lead me on to my next point. Namsco rejected F1 to go for the title here, James. So Namsco is very committed to winning this title. However, OP Keane has been tipped to be one of the men who could stop him despite joining the tier mid-season. So it's going to be a very interesting qualifying.
Yeah, that's right, and both of them then on this lap, on the run now down in towards, of course, turn number 1 at Primera, which is in translating from Spanish as corner number 1, turn 1. Kian coming through Primera at turn number 1, then to the right hand at turn number 2, and then into the Lagos corner at turn number 3, and already reaches that turn number 3. Then through the hairpin now at turn number 4, we'll turn the time tower off on the left hand side just so you get the full view, of course, of the track as Kian now runs down the hill in towards Torre at turn number 5, and it's 21.8 through the first sector. Not too bad at all. Should be seen 21.5s, 21.6s as the session goes on a little bit later on. And I can do the left hander of turn number 6, and then into the right hander of turn 7, then into the Samsung corner at turn number 8. There are other devices, of course, available to view your racing on tonight. As Kia now comes into the left hander of Craig Jones, named after the Australian driver, of course, the Australian Formula 1 driver, Craig Jones, through turn 10 and turn 11 at Portimao at the top of the hill, the highest point on the track. 51.6 in the middle sector from Kian, not looking too bad at all. He reaches now the left hander of turn number 13, then in towards the right hand of 14 at Sagways, I think this is known as, if I'm not mistaken, coming through the 14
Correct.
at Sagways. Thank goodness for that. As Milan comes through 15 at Galp, which I definitely do know with a lot of conviction, as Kian now comes through the final corner on the run toward the line. Should be a 116 to start off the night, and it is indeed 116.6 to start off the night.
Yeah, it would be bad if you claim to know the track map off by heart and get a corner wrong, but James' head is spot on once again. Mitchie then goes to second position, as Newt goes to third. Newt's becoming a very steady driver here in this tier. He's certainly performing, and he feels he's doing it as well, and it's always good to have some confidence. Keane has just disconnected from the session, so we do hope we get the Aston Martin driver back in. AXA is looking good here as he heads through turn number 11 in through 12 and 13. A very twisty section, and as you enter turn number 14, you can see the MotoGP long lap penalty on the outside. If you're wondering what that is for, of course, season opener next season in MotoGP here in Portimao. Harry's gone second, but actually coming through this final corner of Galp, and there's always a bit of debate between the drivers whether running close to the inside wall is the better line or running outside is the better line. And I couldn't tell you which one is correct, but actually goes to fifth, about 3.5 tenths off pole position.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, he was so quick on that lap, I couldn't even find him actually on the left-hand side to try and ride on board with that lap. So apologies if you were following on board with Ron there. He would invalidate his lap time. He is on for another lap at this stage in the plan. Volakonga as well invalidated his first run. He's now in toward the right-hander at turn 14 at Sagres. Ian out on top though, Harry in second, Mitchie there in third, Nuth there in fourth as Volakonga now comes to the right-hander of Galp at turn number 15. It is a really big descent actually down in through Galp corner at turn 15. Now on the run to the line with Volakonga. Going to put it up there, actually, the Norwegian. He goes fifth. Not a bad lap there at all. With a 16.968 to go with his very good performances so far in qualifying in various races, of course, this season in PSGL. I'll throw in a little bit of a disclaimer, by the way. So I think Aries has just gone second there ahead of Harry. I said round 5 of the championship a little bit earlier on. It's round 7, so clearly I've been living in the absolute shadow realms. But Keane out on top, Aries in second, Harry in third, fourth, round 7 of the championship.
Yeah, round 7, we're getting near the end of the season, so these become crucial races. Of course, every race is really a crucial race, but they get even more crucial as we come towards the end of a season. Futsbab heading round the final corner of Galp, of course, scored some big points last time out in Silverstone with a 7th place finish. He goes 10th and second last of the timed runners so far for the Ferrari. He is a good bit behind his teammate who'll need to improve if he wants to beat him. But Jerry Russell is heading through the turn 8 corner of Samsung on his first quali lap here in PSGL F2.
Yeah, definitely so. It is Keane out on top. Harry's there in second. Harry there in third. By the way, in terms of the poll that is going on, that was launched around 4 minutes ago. Keane has got 59% of the vote. Hopefully, you're not seeing it in real time. You're just voting on laps they win. We want that before, of course, it actually happens. The qualifying session. Sapala is on the lap as well. He's now coming to the left-hander of turn number 4. And he is an outside chance, potentially, of a good top 5, maybe even a top 10, I think, from Sapala in qualifying. Certainly purple in the first sector, not looking too bad actually coming out of top of it there at turn number 5. But in terms of the votes, 53% for Kian, 16% for Volakongan, 16% and Namsko, and 16% for other. Gianluca saying Paul for Kian, and Frankie, who I think has voted, I think, personally, looking good there, I think, with his prediction. Arocca for Paul, and Arocca currently is in, trying to find him, he's 13th. I thought he wasn't even here, but there we go.
Well, Arocca is here, but he's not made an impact yet in this qualifying session. He's sat in the pit lane. So part of you were saying, James, he's heading through the penultimate corners. It's not been that shabby of a run for the AlphaTauri. He could certainly put it up there in the mixer. We're in the 116s, heading through the final corner now. He should be in the 116s if all goes straight. No, he's in the 117 ones. It was a poor last sector for the AlphaTauri, and he'll slot himself into 8th position. He's surrounded by Ferrari-powered cars.
He is surrounded by Ferrari power cars indeed. Somebody that isn't, though, is Fetty, who hasn't set a lap so far. 22-1, though, in the first sector is respectful. We saw on board, of course, with Volakonga and the likes, they were setting 21-9 to the first sector. So Fetty is a little bit off in the first sector, maybe going for a down run here, maybe setting up for another lap potentially, but he's down there in 17th. Hopefully, he's going to be hoping for a very good performance here tonight. Stefano also just starting up on a lap. I think he's coming through in towards turn number 1 at Primera. But Keane out on top, Rowan now second, and Namsko there now in third. 16.7s for them both. Very good lap time from them both as well. As Fetty through the middle sector with the 52 flat.
Yeah, Ronan Namsko going there in second position in second and third position, apologies, in very quick succession. They both got laps in really quickly, but the second runs of the session are already starting. We see Harry and Mitchie both on runs, and Mitchie is he's a good bit down. He's about a 10.5 down on his run, but we'll see what Harry can do through the first sector. He's in through turn 3 of Lagos and up the hill to 4. Very tricky corner. We're going to see a car go around there this evening. I can tell you that for free. That's a big first sector from the Alfa Romeo, and looking good here on debut.
Yeah, not looking too bad at all. Marcel there in the chat saying the championship is not over. Yeah, the championship indeed is not over. Even with Steph going Steph, of course, being the championship leader, he's now gone from PSF2. That does really put in a real shoe-in, I think, potentially, for the likes of Volakongan to get up towards the top end of the championship. Harry, though, his first race here, the FER man doing a very good job on this lap. Coming to the right-hand of Portimao turn 11, then to the left-hander, he's a tenth and a half up, 51.5 in the middle sector from Harry. Apologies, by the way, if I'm lagging potentially on Evan's end and on your end as well. My encoding is completely wrong. It is probably lagging a little bit more, and I have recently done an OBS update as well. We're keying out on top, Rowan there in second, Axie there in third as Harry now comes through the final corner at Galp on the run toward the line. It's a very competitive lap actually from Harry. Is he going to go quickest? Yes, he does. Very good lap from Harry, 16.658.
Extremely close as well, 0.03 separating Harry and Keane. Two of the newer kids on the block, let's say, as Justbrand is starting his first lap of the session, only getting it started now. We'll see Ron second sector split. 52 flat, good middle sector time really here from Ron. He's one of the backmarkers in the points, if that makes any sense to those at home. He's certainly one who can score points, however, he's not really challenged at the top of the grid too much this season. Finished 8th in Silverstone, and he is still looking to try and pick up more points as he goes along. Always picks up towards the end of a season, but here comes Ron across the line. It's only 15th for now. He'll look to improve on that later.
Yeah, he will. I think he's got an outside chance maybe of setting a 16.9, 16.8 potentially as the session goes on. Not bigging up Ron whatsoever, I think, within my prediction there. But on his day, he is very good in qualifying. And on his day, he should be up there as Volakongan, speaking of which, is third.
Yeah, that's a great lap. He was just riding on board through the final corner, and obviously was flat through there like every driver will be. But that's an excellent lap from the Norwegian Nightmare. As he heads up through turn 4 on his in-lap, he's certainly looking to put in a good performance. Race pace usually stronger than qualifying pace is something I've noticed with him across the course of this season here in the F2 Championship. And he's certainly looking to challenge once again. There's some more improvements down the field. That's Araka, who's gone 11th position here, just outside the top 10.
Yeah, and Justbrand as well, going 17th. Jerry, who hasn't got a valid lap time in yet, a 32.9 is his personal best, but he's invalidated on this run. And he has got a history of doing this, unfortunately. From watching MWR, he has a history of doing this in qualifying. He's there in 19th, just pulling off the right-hand side and towards Samsung there, as Keane has invalidated his run as well. Volakongan backing down on that Rowan, I think, is just preparing for another run. So right on board with him on the run down and towards turn number 1 at Primera, 16.738. Currently his personal best. On that fresh set of soft compound tyre, let's see what the Alpine can do in towards turn number 1, then to the right-hander of turn number 2, then to the right-hander again of turn number 3. Harry, Keane and Volakongan currently out on top of Rowan. Coming through the end of the first sector, not looking too bad at all, the OP man actually through turn number 4, taking that very thin line on the inside, does save you ground, and he's 300 down in the first sector, so not looking too bad so far.
Not looking too bad so far. Noah improved to 11th as well, but Rowan, he only needs that little bit of an improvement and it will put him up. That's how close the top of the order is here in qualifying. And certainly, he's looking good to do that. Bit of a snap out of Samsung. You want to just control the car through there. Sometimes being slower is almost quicker because you'll save yourself some time correcting the car. Beautiful entry. It's a big mistake. It was a lovely entry, just got on the power too early and the Alpine is facing the wrong way.
He did, and that's so easy to do, especially for the corner. I've done that plenty of times, both in F1 and in F2 cars. And Rowan luckily kept it in a straight line. Otherwise, I thought he was honestly going in the wall on the right-hand side. But luckily, he's kept it going. Luckily, obviously, he's not going to improve on this lap. But luckily, he's still in the session. With 5 minutes to go, plenty of time and plenty of improvement still to be found, I am sure. From Rowan, he was looking good up until that point. Only 300 down, as we say, in the first sector. But Harry out on top, Keane there in second. Volakongan there in third. Looking through the chat, by the way. Big up the Ron Zeus, says Mr. Will Murdoch, and all in there in the chat as well, saying Volakongan. Holy, they are fast. They are fast indeed. If anything of these guys is to come, F1, I'm sure, is going to be a lot closer than what we're getting at the minute.
Yeah, also big up to Dara Smith, our PSGL F2 reserve, who's negotiating a PSGL F1 reserve drive despite not doing a race here in the championship. So you have my utmost respect, my friend, as Keane, he's continued on, but there's no battery on board that Aston Martin, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and he's going to have to saunter back to the pit lane. But yeah, it is a quite close qualifying for the track that is Portugal. It's not an easy track by any means. You usually get close qualifying, apologies, in tracks like Brazil and maybe Austria. But here comes Neil towards the line. Expected him to be about... Oh, he's into the pits, never mind. And just a quick thing while we see a driver enter the pit lane. That pit, we might see one of two things. Drivers speeding into it because it's a really, really tough braking zone. And also maybe even a bit of an overtake into it because some drivers can be a little bit lackadaisical on the entrance. Just lift off, just brake to make sure they don't get a penalty. And bam! Car up your inside. Sebastian Vettel style. We may see it as James. What's going on here? Oh,
Axie goes third, 16.6. I was trying to cut in. I was going to let you finish, and I was going to think, shall I cut him off? Shall I cut him off? But Axie there goes third, 16.665. Very
I
good
cut you
lap.
off every week, James. Cut me off. Definitely. That's a beauty of a lap from Axie. And now that's 3 cars within 0.010. Excellent here in PSGL F2. And there was also what I saw and what my little bit of an ooh was for. It was Keane almost hitting Jerry Bussell in qualifying. That would have been horrible if one of them had picked up a 5-place grid penalty, as Jerry is now 9th. He finally has a lap on the board.
He does have a lap on the board, which I didn't even see, so because he was flying on board with Axie there, but it was a very competitive lap by Axie. If you can replicate that, and if you can iron out the error that he made coming out of turn number 4, I think he's got a really good chance of actually setting 16.5, 16.4. He does look on it tonight, does Axie. Of course, he won, of course, last time out in Britain, the last race, of course, that we saw. Oh, no, it was Fetty. Was it Fetty or Axie? One of the two.
It was Axie.
It was Axie, yeah. I don't know why I'm questioning myself, honestly, with that.
I wasn't even here, James, though, no. Come on.
I know you
Keep
weren't.
up.
I know you weren't.
No, but it wasn't. It was Axie. And Axie is definitely a refreshed and remotivated driver heading into the second part of the season and 2023 as a whole. He's got confidence from that Silverstone win, and he's good at Silverstone. That's why it was probably at the wrong part of the season last season when he won it, because he won it was the final race, so it didn't really matter. He had a whole season to do. But yeah, he's looking refreshed, and he's looking like he wants to challenge the front runners. Volakongan is on a lap here, James, and it's not looking too bad at all.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Watch his first sector. He's only 300 down out the first sector. This is where, though, Axie was really, really good on the power. Coming out of turn 8 at Samsung, through turn number 9 at Craig Jones, and then in towards turn 10 and 11 at Portimao. This is where he was absolutely nailed on in terms of that. Volakongan taking a bit hesitant, but he is a little bit quicker than Axie through that middle sector. 51.6, it's purple out of everyone. Apparently, according to our screen in the middle sector, but Volakongan now, the Norwegian, has got to put it all on the line with this lap. He hasn't got time for another one, so he's got to make this one count. As Volakongan now comes through the final couple of corners, he might actually come back in the pit lane, but then he's got enough time. So this is it for Volakongan on the run toward the line. Can the Norwegian go pole? No, he can't. He goes second, and you cannot believe it. It is the same time as Harry. Harry said in the time before Volakongan. That means he's on provisional pole right now. Rowan is just starting up on, I think, on a lap as well. He's coming to the final sector, preparing up for one. But Harry there and Volakongan, same lap time. Just Harry set the lap time sooner. That's what breaks them at this stage.
Oh my goodness me, that is unbelievable. I've not seen that around a track like Portimao, maybe one of the shorter ones. But this could be a very good end to qualifying. Rowan starting his lap, he's into turn 1 of Premiere, through 2, braking for turn 3. Get down the gears and get straight back up them as quick as possible as you head through turn number 4. You got a short shift to 5th gear. Well, he doesn't this time, of course, while I'm watching it, but you got a short shift of the 5th gear there, mid-corner. Namsk. Oh, that's a huge run. That is an unbelievable lap from the soon-to-be championship leader.
Didn't even see him on a lap. That is how much Namsko surprised us there. 16.523. That is now going to put Rowan completely under pressure. He knows what that target is now to aim at with only 20 seconds to go in qualifying. Namsko now out on top. Harry Volakongan also on laps as well, as is Keane, as is Axie, as is Mitchie, who's just gone 6th as well. But Rowan now coming to the right-hand of Portimao at turn number 11, and he's 200th up. It's not enough at this stage to go near Namsko. Is anybody going to get near Namsko at this stage in this session? I don't know, but Rowan is probably going to go second if he doesn't make a mistake like what he's done coming out of turn 13.
Yeah, that's a bit of an error from Rowan, and Keane was down on a run as well. I'll see a second sector split as he heads through. Now he's down as well.
Rowan now on the run toward the line. We'll see what his lap time is going to be. He goes 5th in the end. Same lap time as Keane. He's 700 down in that middle sector. Harry's back in the pit lane. That's him done. Axie is on a lap. He's 700 up to the first sector. Stefano second. Yeah, Stefano second indeed as Kian now comes to the final corner. He's now going to put it all on the line. He bails, comes back in the pit lane. Obviously not improving. Axie, though, was the main one to watch. Coming out of Portimao at turn 11. And he spins, coming out of Portimao at turn 11, too heavy on the throttle, and Axie is sent round by himself, too heavy on the throttle. That is him round, and that is him pretty much at the session, and I don't think anybody else is improving bar Ron, who's back in the pit lane. That, my friends, is the end of qualifying, and it is Namsko, the lap that we didn't see, the lap that took us by surprise, out on top. Stefano there in second, a lap that I didn't see, there in second, and Harry there in third. Very good on debut, but Namsko, this is why he should be PSF1. This is why he turned down a seat in PSF1. Now he's in PSF2, going for that title, and he's put himself right in the mix.
What a lap from Namsko, and in our little poll he was the lowest voted driver, so that is, I suppose, karma from Namsko is what he'd say to all who voted against him, but that's an unbelievable lap, and I have to say, almost an equally good run from Stefano, because he was nowhere really. It was the other Alfa Romeo we were talking about, but Stefano has proved why he is a bit of a veteran of this tier, and he's put himself up there to second position. Though it's not really a front row we expected heading into the main Grand Prix, but it's still an oh-so-exciting one.
Yeah, something is in the water, I think, tonight here in Portugal. What are these guys on? Namsko out on top by 800ths of a second over Stefano there in second. Harry there in third. Volokungen in the end in fourth in a very good qualifying session from him. Keane and Rowan, both Dutch, both same lap times as well, 16.661. Axie there in seventh, Mitchie there in eighth, Jerry there in ninth, and Harry's round off the top 10. Only 0.2 of a second covering the field here at Portimao. That is what I'd like to see. Noah, Nuth, Futzbab, Devon, Aroka top 15, then Tapala, Feddy, Ron, Yuspan top 19. Dino, of course, with that qualifying ban right down at the bottom end of the field, but it's Namsko out on top, Stefano second, Harry there in third. We're going to take a short intermission break and a drink for me because my throat is aching. We're going to be back in 30 seconds. Apologies, I clicked on the wrong screen there. You just saw blank black faces, unfortunately, which was us. But there we are, 15 seconds to go now until the start of the race, of course, here in Portimao. Evan, what can we expect?
Chaos.
And that, I think, is going to be it, summed up in completely one word. As now PSF2 is about to get going once again for the first time in 2023. We're about to go racing here on the PS platform. It is F2. It is round 7 of the championship, and it's already lights out and away we go. And Namsko gets a very good start. A horror start from Stefano, who's now alongside Harry, who's going to try and attack him in towards turn 1 at Primera. Really good start throughout the field, though, but Namsko leads through turn number 1. Stefano there in second, Harry in third, Keenan fourth. There's a huge crash in the background. Dino caught up in that along with Sapolo and Aries. I think them are the main three got caught up in that. Certainly Futzfam has been caught up in a separate incident coming out of turn number 3, but Namsko already leading the way, 0.4 of a second. Keane there and Stefano there in second. Keane in third. There's another driver off in the background. I think there might have been Nuth running wide in the background of shot. Ronan and Harry attacking each other, and there's a spin coming through Torre Viv, and that was a collection there, I think, by a rocker. Yusbrand has been spun as well. Axie there in pretty much down at the back end of the field. Chaos is the right word. Mr. Evan Dalton. Namsko out on top. Stefano second. Keane in third. Chaos, chaos, chaos.
Yep, and it was an unbelievable dive into Torre Vive from Rowan, but it caused all that because there was just cars collecting each other, and Rowan, he was almost looking at the inside of Harry. Keane made a beautiful move, and I'm not sure if he's psychic or something, but it's almost like he sensed a lock-up from Harry in towards turn number 3, went down the inside immediately and got the job done. But up 10 positions is Ron. He said inspirational in the stream chat a couple of moments ago. That first lap certainly was.
Yeah, the Estonian doing a good job there in 8th behind Devon. Jerry's just lost position as well to Ferry, who I think is now ahead. See, Williams is there side by side. I wonder if Jerry's got a bit of damage, actually. Yeah, he bailed into the pit lane. So Jerry's the first one in. Namsco leads at the end of lap 1, though. Those are position gains on the left-hand side. There's Stefano in second, Kean there in third. Rowan, though, all over the back of Harry, really looks now on pressure and nearly catches the curve coming through the right-hander of turn number 2, the corner with no name. Rowan coming through the left-hander now at turn number 4. He just lost that bit of time, and Harry's nearly gone for a spin coming out of turn number 4. These cold, hard compounded tyres on cloudy weather conditions really not suiting the drivers. Rowan now all over the back of Harry like a hot rash.
Yeah, but Rowan is looking very shaky here. He's not settled into this one. Certainly looking quick, but not confident, it seems, here in Portugal. But he is all over the back of Harry. Harry maybe just feeling the pressure of the occasion in the opening couple of laps. Yeah, he definitely is feeling the pressure of the occasion. There's a couple of wobbles, there's a couple of wiggles, but he'll settle into it, hopefully, in the next few laps' time, as there's still a battle here between Keane and Stefano.
Yeah, the two all people, he's second and third at this stage. Bullakungan there in fourth. Position gains, by the way, are as follows. Ron, as we've already said, is up 10 positions out on track, along with Dino, who's gained 8, 7 positions gained for Fetty and Devon. And that just highlights, I think, the absolute chaos that we saw at the end of lap 1 there. But Nam still leads the way. Stefano there in second, Kean in third, and Kean now right on the back of Stefano. Of course, the OP man wants to try and get on the back of his teammate. Not in the fastest lap, though, by everyone. That's by Namsco at this stage. In fact, that's by Harry at this stage, who's there in 5th position. But Namsco leading the way, coming through Primera once again for the third time out of lap 3 out of 33. Namsco, Stefano, Kean currently out on top. Ron there all over the back of Devon as well. And now we've got to fight further down the field. Axie and Yuskran, who got caught up in a collision, I think, with each other and had separate spins coming out of Torivip to boot. They're in 14th and 15th. They got away with those spins, and now they're preparing to fight maybe down the hill and towards Torivip to turn 5.
Harris has almost gone round in the background of this battle as well. He's got it all so wrong through turn number 4, but he's recovered it okay. He's recovered it okay in terms of the tyres. It's the top 16 on the hards and the 4 who have made pit stops. It is mediums for Jerry Bussell. It's softs for Newt, so going for something different. Mediums for Noah, mediums for Footspat, the two VIR drivers not having a good day.
Definitely not. Lelabelle as well in the comments saying go Kean. Yeah, Kean right on the back of Stefano at this stage. He's there in 3rd position, doing a fantastic job, applying pressure to Stefano. And of course, these guys are not in the same team. Even though they're in the same esports team, they're not in the same team in PSGL, so that means they don't have to work together if they don't want to. And that Stefano intention is clear, because he used a bit of EOS coming out of turn 14 at Sagres. Now at the hill in towards turn number 1 once again at Primera. He is getting close, but he's not going to be able to be close enough to him down the straight in towards turn number 1. But Namsco leads the way. Stefano there in second, Kean there in third. There's another battle developing further down the field. It's Mitchie and Ron for 8th and 9th position. Ron, of course, gaining 10 positions up the race stop, but he has got Mitchie, former PSF1 man, right in behind him. And I think this will probably only go one way. Lost Mr. Dalton.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah, no, I'm here. For a dive. Beautiful. I was going to spy another pointless fun fact, but Mitchie's just pulled off one of the moves of this season into Tour AV. That's an unbelievable dive. How has he got that stopped? But yeah, Mitchie has got the job done on Ron. That is an exceptional overtake and one to be proud of.
It is one to be proud of. What was I saying about 30 seconds ago, saying it's only going to go one way? It has gone one way. It's Mitchie there in 8th, Ron there in 9th. Great overtake by Mitchie. However, I think Ron made a mistake from out of turn number 4, and it set him up. And I think he also broke a little bit early for Torivip as well, and that forced Mitchie completely down the inside line. Not sure if there was a little bit of tactic there in that. If there wasn't, great move by Mitchie. He's up into 8th position. Stefano on the back of Namsco, still fighting for the lead. This will probably happen in the dribs and drabs, really, of overtakes right until the first pit stop, one would imagine. Sapala, by the way, is right on the back of Dino further down the field as well, but they're all in a big old train running down the straight in towards turn number 1, and Ari's in the background. He's just got the move done on Yuskran coming out of the final corner of Galp, so Ari's through there into 15th position, now ahead of Yuskran, and those two I think are going to be trying to catch up to the back of Axie, and Axie will be hoping he can catch up to the back of the field.
We're on the back of Mitchie here.
On the back of Mitchie.
He's going to try to return the favour here in towards the hairpin. Is it going to be a late lunge? No, he breaks earlier. And that's kind of the nature of this corner. You can either break early, turn in, get the early rotation and try get out of the exit, or you can break later, go a little bit deep, run wide on the curb, possibly risk a warning. But you will be able to break much later into the corner. Some drivers like to carry more apex speed. Some drivers prefer a slow in, slow out sort of corner. And we can see the two differences completely between Mitchie and Ron. Ron breaks a lot earlier, Mitchie breaks later, but both almost equally as quick through the corner. I wouldn't count out Ron out of this one, yet he's still looking good in this race, as it is definitely, there is some cloud form above the circuit here in Portugal.
There is some cloud form above the circuit. I had to look twice because I thought it was raining actually at this point, but it's not. I promise you it isn't. I hope it's not anyways. But Kian on the back of Stefano once again getting close down the straight, and Stefano now opening up the taps, trying to gain on Namsko in towards turn 1. It's going to be a forceful move, maybe to the inside line. He's catching too quick though, and the corner comes in time for Namsko. He holds on to the lead, and Stefano has a little bit of a twitch there coming out of turn number 1. That just forced him to try and correct himself, and exactly the same has been done coming out of turn number 3. He's really losing the car coming through the first sector, and now Kian is all of a sudden all over the back of him. He's going to look for the outside line in towards turn with turn number 5. Going to try and think about the switchback on the exit of the corner, which can be pulled off. However, Kian has a bit of a snap of oversteer, now puts Stefano under pressure once again, but Kian not good enough to try and get the move done. And Namsko all of a sudden is 7/10 away, and nearly out of DRS range as Jerry is retired from the race in the pit lane.
Yeah, Jerry's given up the ghost early on here, and Keane has used quite a bit of his battery for no real result. Whether it was a waste or not, I'm not sure, but the man behind him, Volakongan, who's excellent on his ERS performance, 95% battery for the Haasman, so excellent stuff there. Stefano 56 and then Keane on 35 is the worst of the top 3. Namsko 95 as well. That turn number 1 apex is just in the wrong place for Stefano, because just as he gains, the straight runs out. Keane, bit of a snap out of the final braking zone, and now Volakongan might be on his tail, although Volakongan doesn't even seem to be pushing at this stage. It's a sign of a comfortable performance so far for the Norwegian.
Yeah, looks really, really strong, I've got to say, Volakongan at this point. This is one of his favourite tracks, I'm led to believe as well. So the TNR man, the Norwegian, is doing a very good job at this stage. Kian, though, all over the back of Stefano, nearly broke too much into the back of him there, coming in towards turn 3 at Lagos, but Namsko leads the way. Stefano in second, Kian in third. Sapalo with the first 3-second penalty of the night. That was, I think, coming out on the exit of turn number 3. So Sapalo there down in 13th position, first 3-second penalty of the night. But Namsko leads the way. Stefano second, Kian now in third, Volakongan in fourth. There's a big old DRS train as well. Mitchie all the way down. Now Mitchie, obviously with that DRS train ahead of him, is going absolutely nowhere at this stage. He hasn't really got the likes of Ron, Fetty and Dino to push him along in terms of the pace either. So Mitchie really is stuck in a bit of no man's land, and everyone else in behind is falling foul to the DRS train that's in front, the 7-car train that is basically going to continue to pull away from these guys. The sun is now beginning to burn through the clouds, I think.
Yeah, I think Mitchie, if he was going to call someone, it's not Ghostbusters. He needs to call an undercut here, because that's his only real chance of getting back into the race. Seems to have quicker pace than the guys behind. He's gained a little bit in the cars in front, but nothing substantial. And if he wants to get back within this fight for what is the race win, let's call it, between the top 7, they are all within the train battling for P1. He's going to have to do something, and an undercut seems like the proper option here. Medium tyres can do about 16 to 18 laps, give or take. So he might consider that. He might consider something along those lines, or maybe even go long and try something the complete opposite. But should be an interesting strategical race for Mitchie, as he seems to have the number on Ron behind him, but Ron not falling out of DRS just yet.
Ooh, as Stefano gets really close back in Namsko there. Namsko broke a little bit earlier than normal for Torevip there at turn number 5, and Stefano was on the back of him, and all of a sudden, from what was a 7/10 gap is now a 4/10 gap. So Stefano now is beginning to try and up the pace. He, I think, wants to try and get within slipstream range, throw an overtake, and already, as you can see, coming through Craig Jones, a bit of ERS coming up the hill, that is going to try and put him in absolute poise position to try and get this move done on Namsko. Kian just a little bit sideways there in the background, coming out of turn number 11 at Portimao, but Namsko leading the way, Stefano there in second, Kian in third. And if I was in Stefano's shoes, I'd use a bit of ERS up here, leave it coming through Galp, and then use a bit of ERS down the straight. Now that, I hope, is going to be a textbook move to what I'm thinking is going to happen here, as Namsko is going to try and have to defend off this if Stefano wants to try and get the job done. In the end, though, he's not enticed, he's not going to go for move.
No, he just seems to be sitting behind and just letting Namsko kind of lead this race, and Stefano's running at Namsko's pace. He's not really running at his own pace here. And all these guys behind are maybe running at a slower pace than what they can do, really. It's a bit of the Namsko train, as Stefano's strong in certain areas, Namsko's strong in certain areas, and they're kind of counteracting each other, and the gaps are staying the same. All I hope for Keane's sake here is that he doesn't get desperate. He's got desperate in previous weeks in his maiden season here in the F2 Championship, and I do hope that desperation doesn't seek in once again, and he can just stay calm, he can just stay focused, and just wait for Stefano to make a mistake. One of the artists of making drivers make mistakes, of course, Ayrton Senna took his first win around the Portuguese circuit. That wasn't here in the Algarve region, but Keane would love to take his first F2 win here in Portugal, just like one of Formula One's greats.
Yep, just like Formula One's great indeed. Namsko leading the way, Stefano in second, Kian there in third, and Kian, as you say, he's all over the back of him. I think, though, there's no real panic stations at this point. It's only lap 9 out of 33. There's no safety calls so far in this race. And Kian just looks comfortable. I think there in third, he doesn't want to put Stefano under pressure. Stefano, indeed, doesn't want to put Namsko under pressure. And therefore, to tit for tat, it's Hermano running down towards turn number 1, and luckily nothing is really going to happen, I think, further down in this race, certainly in the next few laps, I think, at this point. However, though, Stefano had a much better turn number 1 at Namsko, so I'm going to ride on board with this for now. I was going to click on board with Dino, who's catching Ferry, but he's looking close enough in towards turn number 1. Namsko, they're leading the way, Stefano second, Keenan third, just planned with the next 3-second penalty of the night as well. He's down there in 16th, and I think coming out of turn number 2 at Lagos.
I think so. Stefano was. He was looking. He was looking into Torre V. It wasn't close enough, and it would have probably ended up in him putting the Mercedes off the circuit if he had looked any more. But there was a look, and maybe Stefano is thinking about going for this one before the pit stop phase. Leading into the pits in a pit stop phase, it gives you ultimate control on what happens, and it gives you full control of how your race will run. Whether, oh, hold on a second. Looks like Sapala's gone, and he's in the grass.
Yep, turn number 8. I've done that plenty of times as well before, so I know what that's like for
Who
Sapala.
hasn't?
Yeah, he hasn't reset the track. Luckily, he has got the car back going again under his own volition. Certainly seen there on the mini maps. So Sapala
Youth round as well.
Dropping down 4 positions. And Youth round as well.
Yeah, I think he's just made a mistake and used his miles off the back here and needs a safety car to get back into this one. Realistically, he's on the softs, so he'll have to make another pit stop before the guys at the front of the race. A safety car is needed.
Yeah, definitely so. Again, Stefano looks closing towards turn 1. And now, what I've seen plenty of happen around here in Portugal, the front 3 just beginning to break away from Volakongan, who's still there, not using up any ERS at all. Harry and Rowan, I think, will be wanting at this point, as now Volakongan has suddenly caught back up to the guys, so there goes my point, therefore. But Volakongan has to use up a bit of ERS, and I think if the gap was around 7/10 per second, which it was for a second there, Harry and Rowan would have been like, come on, use your ERS, get on with it, sort of thing, and then bring Harry, Rowan, and then Devon possibly into play as well. It's still a big old DRS train for the lead of the race, and nothing's really happening further down the field either. Wish I could bring you overtakes, but we're not, as Axie is looking, however, quite close to the back of Ali's coming towards turn number 8 at Santos.
You were a driver like Harry, you are really frustrated in this train because you can see there's 4 guys in front of you and not a single one of them are going for moves, and you just have to sit there in 5th, because if you go for a move and when you're at the back of the train, you break both yourself and the guy in front off that train. The front 3 can pull away and then there's no hope of him. So if your name is Harry, you are getting frustrated. If your name is Rowan and Devon, you're probably quite thankful for this train, because Devon, he's not one who realistically would have the pace to win. However, if something goes wrong for a few cars in front, he's the guy who will just sneak his way through and he'll find a gap and he will get up into some high-paying points positions. But I'm not sure if Namsko's just eased off the pace or whether he's looking vulnerable, but Stefano is certainly just getting that a little bit closer here in the race.
I think Namsko's trying to back Stefano up into Kian, perhaps, and I think Namsko all of a sudden is just beginning to struggle. I noticed that it was about a 10.5 down in towards turn number 1 at Primero, and Stefano now is applying that pressure to Namsko. I wonder if there was maybe a slight hesitancy, maybe like a wheel disconnect, like a very slight wheel disconnect.
That's a huge
mistake. That's a huge mistake from Namsko coming out of turn 7, and now Stefano is side by side with him, coming in towards Craig Jones. Luckily, though, Stefano doesn't want to go for the move And Namsdale just about holds the lead, but now goes to the moving toward Portsmouth, turn 11 and gets the job done. There must be something wrong with Namsdale. I was about to say, I think there was a wheel disconnect potentially going on, and Namsdale all of a sudden has just lost absolute pace, unless this is tactical, which it might be because he's not using up any ERS as Keane gets the job done in towards turn 13. Now 3 seconds at turn 14. Stefano now all of a sudden is 8 tenths clear of Keane, and now trying to make a break for it.
I was going to say, it could be tactical, but if it was tactical, he would have did it a lot smarter than that. But Keane doesn't have a lot of battery to burn. This train is starting to be dismantled because Harry's looking for it on Volakongan. Volakongan using battery to just keep ahead into towards turn number 1. This race has really spiced up in the last couple of sectors. There's another mistake, and that's Newt who's fearing going on. Harry! Oh, he's round!
Never gonna work. Never gonna work. I was on board with Rowan with that, and I thought, yeah, he's gonna commit that in towards turn number 3. He does, and he's spun again. Harry, unfortunately, he's gone now. The Hong Kong man, they're down in 11th position. And Dino's picked up a 3-second penalty ahead of him as well. But now Feddy is side by side with them. And now all of a sudden, Harry, after making that absolute lunge down in towards turn number 3, he's now out of the points. And what for? What for? Unfortunately, that's just the nature of racing at the end of the day. Harry got it completely messed up in towards turn 3. He is fighting side by side with Feddy. Feddy there ahead, but Harry now out of the points. And for what?
That's that desperation. That's that sort of uneasiness you get when you're running in the train. You sense a chance and you go for the first opportunity, and it never works. It never really works, and it's not worked for Harry, but we live and we learn. Oh, my goodness me. He's had a huge snap, but he's caught it. And now this train, it's all starting to get a bit interesting because it's the two men with the best ERS battling. It is Namsko versus Volakongan, and who will play this more tactically. What I was going to say before this all kicked off is, one thing Namsko, he's a very clever man, will know is Stefano's usually not as quick in the second stint as the first. He's usually very quick out of the blocks. The Italian is absolutely fierce out of the blocks, but his second stint, he's usually not as good as Harry. He's just given up.
Yeah. That's such a shame from Harry's perspective. There's every chance that he could have been within the points. He would have been scrapping out for, yes, a point. Yes, maybe 2, maybe even 3 points at the bottom end of the field. But it's still points is points. And on your debut, you've got to try and make an impression. Unfortunately for Harry, hasn't made an impression on me. I know he's capable of absolutely better. He knows that, I know that, everyone on this stream knows this as well. And Harry will be back, I'm sure, next week to try and right his wrongs. Unfortunately, it was just one mistake. It sends his mentality completely the wrong way, and therefore he retires out the races. Stefano's just made a mistake coming out of turn number 11 there. Keane once again 4/10 of a second away. But Stefano and Keane now trying to break away. And it's what we normally see in SRC, to be honest. It's an OP 1-2.
Yeah, I never really understand why these guys do retire so easily from here. Because let's be real, there's 20 people on this grid. They don't want to stay in F2. They want to go to F1. And what they should know is that the admins, they're going to look at the results. If you pick up consistent points here, then they might look at you for an F1C. What good is a P19 retirement because it all went wrong? But that's a debate for another day. Stefano definitely looking a bit vulnerable. These guys will now have a part of their mind thinking about pit stops and pit stop phases. Who is going to get these guys all into the pits? Because once one man makes a move, the rest will follow suit a lap or two later, as a bit of a wobble for both of the OP men out of the hairpin. And Namsko he's settled back in from whatever went wrong for him. And Mitchie in the gravel.
Yeah, Mitchie round coming out of Torre Vip at turn number 5. I think that was by himself. It wasn't a lunge from Ron, I don't think. So Mitchie there is going to have to try and get out of the way. And he's made contact with Axie as well. And nearly gets selected by Yuspran in the process as well. And those tyres with gravel on you, trust me, it is the worst feeling ever here in Portimao. And he's got Yuspran right at the inside. I think Mitchie should just give up at this point and just let him through. But he's back down the inside line. Yuspran now on the outside line is probably thinking, where on earth you came from? That 3-second penalty is definitely going to get removed because of Mitchie being in front of him. Mitchie there 13th, Yuspran 14th. And Yuspran probably thinking to Mitchie, well, just get out of the way. You've got gravel on your tyres, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but Mitchie's not going to give up that easy, and he's defended this one, and he might get done down in towards turn number 1. There's, or should we now, DRS on board that AlphaTauri? Yuspran will certainly have some as, oh, that's a late pit entry. Oh, that's a really late pit entry. Definitely going to be a penalty for that if Yuspran reports it. I don't actually think Mitchie was aware where the pit lane was. He almost clattered into the inside pit wall, which That's happened before. That happened in one of the endurance races around Portimao here, where an LMP went smashing into the pit wall. Mitchie was almost the second man to do it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mitchie, I think though, from my camera angle, certainly it looked like he was within the white lines. I'm not sure from your camera angle, Evan, if you had a different one to me, but it looked to me as if he was in the white line. So I'm not so sure about that. He's on the set of medium compound tyres. He's out behind Axie as well, so it'll be interesting that one.
Yeah, well, I was on board with Jusbran, and it certainly looked like he just dived across the track. But
Yeah.
you know, perspective is everything. So maybe he got it. He got it in the white lines. But anyways, time will tell. As lap 17, these guys will be going on to now, and all still running really, really close. This pit stop phase could be the deciding factor here in this race.
Yeah, Stefano's still leading the way, Kean and second, Nams going third. The front six is still continuing on. If I was in the shoes of Ron or Dino, perhaps, I think about maybe an undercut, but to what extent? Because there's going to be no real undercut as Aries is into the pit lane. So he's going to respond to obviously Axie and Mitchie pitting in. He should be ahead of these guys quite comfortably. I think there's a rocker that's sped coming into the pit lane. I'm not sure who it was a little bit earlier on. I think it was Frankie that predicted him for pole position. Not really going well, I think, for a rocker at this stage. He's out of the points at this stage. Obviously, with the safety car, it can bring them back into play, can bring everyone, in fact, come back into play as a result. But at this moment in time, it concerns the front six, you would imagine. Sapalo, by the way, still continuing on, and the likes of Aries, Rocker, and Jusbran are coming out the pit lane exit. And for Jusbran, he's going to be side by side with Mitchie out of the pit lane, and Mitchie's actually ahead of him.
Yeah, Mitchie's got ahead of Jusbran, and Jusbran had to counteract what we thought was a late pit call from Mitchie, but Mitchie's got the position done, so Mitchie just needs to bed down into this race and just needs to try and work his way back up. James, I would not be surprised if one of the front runners pits this lap.
I wouldn't actually, to be honest, I'd say more Volakongan, Rowan, somebody like
he
that.
He is a front runner, Techno.
Actually,
there we
Stefano's
go. Evans right once again.
Stefano into the pit lane. This is why I am lead commentating, unfortunately. This is why Evan gets most of the decisions right in terms of his predictions rather than me.
That's why I lead. The cheek. The cheek.
It's terrible. Terrible.
That's it. Stefano's going to be going for the mediums. Oh, yeah, he is going for the mediums. And we are halfway through the race. I'll hand it back to Mr. James Head.
Yeah, and look at the gap he is going to come out in as well. Clear, absolutely perfection for Stefano. Now, the big point is, what do the front five now do? They've got to, I think, consult each other and think, are we coming in this lap? Are we going to go an extra lap and then maybe run the risk of actually falling out of DRS range, which is conceivably possible in this race? Stefano out of the pit lane, miles ahead of Sapala, miles behind Dino, doesn't concern. It's about a 19 to 20 second pit stop around here in Portimao. So if that's anything to go by, Stefano is going to be roughly around, what? Well, it's going to be more like 24 seconds, I think, the pit stop. But he's going to be roughly around Kian Namsko, Volokongan, that sort of area, if these guys were to pit this lap. So actually, with Stefano, he might have pulled a bit of a rogue one here, and it might not totally work out for him.
Not sure. We may see Namsko in as well. He's burned a lot of ERS. No, he's going to carry out. He's going to carry on. Keane is in. Keane had a bit of a wobble, and I think is struggling a bit on those tires. Keane also wants the race lead, so let's see how this one plays out. But Keane is in, Rowan's in, so is Devon, so is Ron, and so, oh no, Dino's not in. He has carried on as he does want to be double stacked.
He does not want to be double stacked indeed, but Kean, yeah, on that set of medium compounded tyres, he's coming through the final corner. Stefano coming through Galp. He's got Footsfab right ahead of him as well as Kean coming out the pit lane. And do you know what? I think he's going to be ahead of him coming out the pits here. Kean is indeed going to be ahead of Stefano coming out. That has not worked out at all for Stefano, unless he gets those tyres up to temperature and unless he gets a dive bomb down the inside of the tyre bit. This is not going to work out whatsoever for Stefano. But now look at the tyre warm up for Kean. He's got to try and hope that those tyres warm up. Stefano, bit wide coming out of turn number 4. That sets him up perfectly, does Kean, for the net race lead. And Kean, all of a sudden, Stefano there is now behind him out on track. Rowan, in the end, has dropped out of DRS range to these two as well. So Kean and Stefano have played this one absolutely perfectly. If you're Kean, he's played an absolute blinder there.
That is a blinder, and if I'm Namsko or Volakongan, I'd be saying, Namsco boxed this lap because he's had a horrible outlap somewhere along the line. Keane's under pressure and he's in. Namsco is in. Is Volakongan. Volakongan stays out. Okay, the strategy game is really developing here in Portimao. Dino's in. He's got to copy his teammate, so he saw that it's clearly worked for Keane. And Dino is pulled straight in. Keane, this is going to work out really well for him. He's going to get the DRS of lapped traffic. He should get the DRS, I believe, of Footspab in front. We'll see this rear wing open. It is going to open here for Keane, so he has played a blinder. Where's Namsco then? Is Namsco going to get the both of them? Oh, he's had a wobble! He's had a wobble on pit exit. What about Keane? Round the outside. Clean round the outside. Go stop! He's round.
He spun, coming out of turn number 1. That's the cold medium compound tyres coming back to bite you on the backside from Namsco's perspective. That is unfortunate for Namsco. He had that big snap of oversteer. He didn't look confident on those mediums coming out the pit lane. He knew that time was of the essence. And unfortunately, time didn't work on his side there. Kian now ahead, Stefano still. Rowan in the end is now a second behind Stefano at this stage in this race. Devon there now within a possible top 3 shout. And Namsco, all of a sudden, cold medium compound tyres coming back to bite him. He had that mistake coming out the pit lane. He had the mistake coming through turn 1. There was no contact that I saw between Stefano and Namsco. It was just pure and simple cold tyres sending them round. Namsco, unfortunately, is down in 6th. And look at what this is going to do for Volakongan.
He could be good.
Could come out ahead of Rowan here.
This could be Volakongan could come out in the race lead here. He was 23 seconds entering the pits. It's not that long a pit lane here. He's last garage as well, so usually not much of an advantage, but with a short pit lane it could work out. This could be close on pit exit here. Footspab's not going to give any toe to Keane. There is Volakongan. This is going to be really close into turn number 1. Keane around the outside. He's got it done. And Stefano's got past as well, but Volakongan is ahead of Rowan.
Rowan is now going around the outside of turn number 3 at Lagosto, and these cold compounded tyres are not going to work to Volakongan's favour. That's brilliant from Rowan to the inside line, coming through turn number 4 on the run down and toward Torrevip at turn 5. Rowan now ahead of Volakongan. The cold medium compounded tyres are not working. Take note, PSF1, if you're watching this. Kian out on top. Stefano now in 2nd. Rowan in 3rd. And all of a sudden, actually, Evan, Kian now getting away. He's nearly a second clear of Stefano.
Keane, he wants this one. This is Keane's best chance for a first win here in PSGL F2, and he wants it. And what were we saying about Devon earlier? Likes to sneak himself into good positions. Currently 5th place and still has DRS over the car in front. That's a yellow flag. That is for Araka, who's retired from the Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Araka. Sapala's also gone for a spin, I believe. He is dropping down the field.
He's lost 2 spots.
Yeah, he's just actually got out of the way, I think, of everyone. Freddy and Axie there on that fresh set of mediums. I don't blame him, to be honest, if Sapala does want to do that. But Sapala there on a set of hards. But look at Kian. He's out now of DRS range compared to Stefano. And there was a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is Sapala around again, coming through the left-hander at turn 13, the corner before Sagways at turn 14. Kian, though, out on top. Stefano 2nd, Rowan in 3rd. Now, Evan, I'm going to put you in the sole shoes of Mr. Stefano here in 2nd. What is the OP operation now? I can see them in the comment section, so it'll be interesting to see what their opinion is as Axie's through on Freddy in towards turn number 1. But Stefano now, he's outside of a second to Kian. They're both running low on ERS. Does Stefano now act as a wingman to Kian and make Kian win this race? Or do they just go for, actually, sod that, because Rowan's 3rd. OP have got a 1-2-3 in this race. So I'm actually thinking, what do they do now?
Look, I've never been in such a high position in a PSGL F2 race, but at the end of the day, do the points go down as Alfa Romeo Sauber and OP Stefano, or do they go down as Outplayed Racing? At the end of the day, it is an individual championship, and these guys, I don't know Stefano, Keane and Rowan at a personal level, but if VSR came knocking at the door, are they likely to jump? Maybe. It depends how loyal they are to the team here, but at the end of the day, this is an individual championship, and they want to impress and get to PSGL F1. They want to win a PS championship. They want to be some of the best drivers on PlayStation, and if you want to be brutal or lethal, I suppose you could say, Stefano's got to go for the race win. But I don't even think he's going to get the chance. Rowan looks much quicker than him at this stage in the race.
He does. He's got a lot fresher tyres. He's got more ERS than him as well. I think Rowan, if Stefano wants to do something, I think let Rowan go. Rowan has got the pace at this stage, and Stefano now is going to be completely under pressure from Rowan at this stage. OP have got that 1-2-3. It is all too familiar around here at Portimao, I must say, with an OP 1-2-3. SRC certainly comes to mind as a result. But Kian leads the way. Stefano there in second, Rowan there in third. Stefano's doing a good job. He's done a lap all the tyres though. Rowan clearly has got good pace coming through the first sector. So one part of me would be like, yeah, I've got to let my teammate through. We're in the same esports team. We've got to try and do team orders. But then again, as you say, this is an individual championship. Volakongan, for goodness sake, is in fourth. He's running the back of them. And in fact, actually, he could counteract Stefano and Rowan as well. So Volakongan is not entirely out of this battle for second. But what we can say with confidence is Kian is getting away from these guys.
Yeah, and Stefano is 29 points off the championship lead. 15 here today is quite crucial for him. They're big points. He doesn't look like he's catching Keane, but you kind of have to put yourself first in PSGL. That's the nature of it. If it's a team championship, everyone's loving life in the Italian outfit here. They're all working together in perfect unison, but you got to go for yourself, I feel, and you have to be just that little bit lethal when it comes to your individual performances. At the end of the day, motorsport is very much an individual sport. There is teams, but it is one driver and one car against one driver and one car. And if these guys are not careful and they start dilly-dallying, maybe with some team orders, there's a Norwegian behind who does not care who's in front of him. He will go past.
Yeah, definitely so. And the OP guys have been very silent, I'm going to say, in the stream comments. So I think they're probably just saying, you know what, just shut up. We've got a 1-2-3 at this stage.
Yeah,
Ian
don't forget the jobs, James.
Kian leading away from Stefano in second, Rowan in third, Volakongan in fourth. I've got to argue now, though, Volakongan seems absolutely on this. The Norwegian now looking to try and get Rowan. He just makes a slight mistake there, coming out of turn 11, just went wide of the outside curb. And Volakongan all of a sudden is now on the back of Rowan. They're going to cancel each other out though. Rowan's got 40% of ERS which he can burn, and Volakongan's got 60% of ERS. He's got 20% more of Volakongan. And do you know what? He might actually go for the move right now, coming out of Galt with turn 15. He's right on the back of him. Stefano's pulling away from Rowan as well. And Volakongan is not enticed whatsoever with this battle. On the run down in towards turn number one, the Kian still leads the way. Stefano in second, Rowan there in third, Volakongan in fourth, and they have actually pulled away quite a lot from Devon there in fifth, who's just struggling on that set of medium compound tyre. He's on 2-lap older tyres compared to these guys. This DRS train, though, is the one that is really hurting Devon the most.
Yeah, another thing with Volakongan is he is in a championship fight. He's outscoring Namsco. Doesn't want to be too desperate. Would love more position. Who wouldn't love more positions in Grand Prix racing? But he has to be smart with this. He can't go for anything desperate like, say, Harry, who has realistically no consequences. Whether he goes for a bold move, and that's a yellow flag, that's for Sipala, I believe, around the back. And yeah, that's just unfortunate. His race has just not gone too well for him. But yeah, Volakongan, he has to be clever. Up the front, though, that gap, that was a 1.3, now 9/10 of a second. So Stefano, he's not down and out of this one just yet. And we were saying Keane, he usually fluctuates a little bit in these races. Stefano, not too good in a second stint. However, they've both been solid today, and there is a battle still on our hands as Keane, bit of a wobble through gap.
Yeah, and Rowan as well, using up a bit of ERS there, but now Volakongan's now on the ERS. He's going to try and go for this move, and when the Norwegian gets an invite, this is going to be easy. Surely down the straight, Volakongan now pulls alongside, but it's still side by side and towards turn number one. Rowan there on the inside line, Volakongan there on the outside line, now for turn number one, and still holds the position, does Rowan. Volakongan now going to try and pressurise him. We'll turn the timing time off on the left-hand side so you can see this view. Volakongan, though, now off the back of Rowan by a good 0.3 of a second coming out of turn number four, and Rowan is still P3.
Rowan still P3. Just Brand's retired from the session. I think he had a bit of a spin somewhere along the lap, and he's given up, unfortunately. So one Alpine is out. One Alpine on course for the podium, but is he? Volakongan thought he would have kept it up the inside into turn two, but he's a clever driver, and he's not losing too much time by this. Race win might be out of his sights, but a podium is certainly still in close contention.
Yeah, the OP account saying as well, Kian definitely deserves a race win in F2. Yeah, he does. He has driven absolutely sensationally, I've got to say, here tonight. He has driven with the confidence, and I wouldn't say the cockiness as per se, but Kian has driven with the confidence and the class, I've got to say. compared to Stefano and Rowan, who are just fighting their own battles. Stefano's out of DRS range. This is looking pretty much impressive now for Kian. You watch now. People are going to hate me if he does spin out this race and loses the lead of the race all of a sudden. But Kian leads the way. He has driven absolutely brilliantly so far. Stefano in second, Rowan in third, Volakonga there in fourth. Zelabel also saying in the chat that he has worked hard for this for sure. He has indeed. And do you know what? Whatever happens in these next 6-7 laps, Kian should still be very proud of his performance as he's still trying to gap Stefano out of that second.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's definitely deserved it, hasn't he? But we could say the same for a lot of drivers. I think another man who would deserve it would be Stefano, because he worked hard in getting past Namsco. Okay, albeit it was a mistake from Namsco that saw him get past, but he still kept with him and he still kept hounding the Mercedes. And Namsco made a mistake, and that's all about him. That's what it's all about in a circuit like this. Apologies, I'm muddling up my words. Not the first time, and won't be the last. It's all about forcing mistakes here in what is described as a roller coaster of a circuit. This has been a roller coaster of a race, and there will be a roller coaster of emotions running through Keane right now, because he'll be thinking 100 different things. Just gotta get the head down, keep focused, do what you've did for 27 laps. There's only a few more to go.
Yeah, and Rowan, honestly, if he wants to try and get on with things for second, I think he's going to try and make a move early and try and counteract what's going to come in from behind, because Volakongan is in fourth. And to be honest, Devon is not entirely out of this either. I know it's a second and a half, but once these guys get battling, which they will, Devon will probably be on the back of these guys sooner rather than later. There is battles further down the field, though. Aries is looking to move on in towards turn one, not close enough, though, to his teammate. He's there in 8th and 9th position at this stage. But Aries, I think, is going to look for this move sooner rather than later. He's all over the back of Ron. He's got 2 lap older tyres, which means they're warmer up at this stage. But Ron just has the pace coming out of turn number 4 to gap him, and he's still there in 8th and 9th. And McLaren seem very happy to run like that at this moment.
It's a solid result for McLaren. It is a solid result. McLaren are currently 6th in the Constructors' standings. They are not too far. They're only 4 points, in fact, behind Aston Martin in front. So this is solid points. Although Aston Martin are outscoring them at this point, but there's not much they can do about it. Aston Martin have got a very quick Dutchman in their team now, and the gap is now 1.8 seconds. Don't panic, folks. That is a backmarker who spun. It's not quite OP Keen. And I don't think I would have ever forgiven myself if my commentator cursed him then. I think I would have just retired.
Yeah, Keane still leads to like 1.8 seconds. Yeah, it's Apollo, I think, who was spun once again. Rowan, though, was right on the back of Stefano. Coming out of Gulf at turn 15. This is surely going to try and be the move for Rowan down the straight. He turns off the DRS, though. And Volakongan is coming from an absolute mile back as well. He's got very good straight line speed. Now Rowan has to go for the move. He's been forced into that move, and now he spins. Coming out turn number 1. No contact there at all between Stefano and Rowan. He just lost it by himself on the inside of turn number 1. Rowan has turned around. Volakongan, may I add, has taken an absolute liberty. He nearly took his life straight into the side there of Rowan.
Unbelievable.
And he's still in third.
Unbelievable. That was what my one of Manny Little was for. Volakonga just bam, brake, turn left, instant. Unbelievable reaction time from Volakonga. How he avoided that's beyond me, because that car was literally sideways in front and there's not a scratch on him. He's gained from it. He's gained from his instant reactions, and he's now on the back of Stefano. But I'm not saying anything, but that man at the front of the grid is looking very, very good for his first race win here. Sapala, very weird his retirement, was sat in the pit entry at 0 kilometers an hour for a good 10 seconds. Very weird, but Sapala is another retirement here, and he'll be classified as 16th.
And here comes Volakongan out of Galp on the run down in towards Primera at turn 1. Look at the closing speed of the Norwegian. He pulls the inside line. Going to try and get the job done now on Stefano. This is surely going to be easy, and it is indeed. Volakongan through, and he's into second. Doesn't want to take another opportunity to try and get that one done. Volakongan through, and he's into second, and that might just confirm him as being second in this race. But with 2 lap pressure tyres, Kian on very low ERS as well. Volakongan, 2.6 seconds. He's basically got to gain, 5/10 a lap, I think, to even be competitive to Kian at this stage. But with those fresher tyres, and with those tyres now beginning to come into play, Volakongan not entirely out of this. We've still got enough of the race to go. If Kian was to make a mistake, God forbid, Volakongan would be right there to try and take it.
Yeah, if Keane was to make a mistake, but I think it's a bit of a stretch if he doesn't. I think 2.7 seconds at this stage in the race is a little bit of an unreachable gap, but Keane could run wide, pick up a penalty. I'll have a look at his warnings now. If the game would like to work for me, we'll have a look. Keane, he has one warning, so if he runs off the track twice more, he will pick up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But he's looking good so far, and the Outplayed Racing team will certainly like their new star boy winning this one. Gap between Devon and Stefano is now a second, James. So Devon could be on course maybe for picking up a podium here if Stefano makes another mistake.
The big thing though with Devon is he's ran out pretty much of ERS, and that is going to be so hard to try and gain back on a track like this, and making a mistake coming through turn number 1 as well. And that now sets him up for a real chase. It's like a game of cat and mouse, I think, between Stefano and Devon at this stage. And Stefano, to be fair, is not entirely out of it on Volakongan as well. He has lost 3-4 tenths of a second after that mistake coming out of turn number 1. And that has now put him completely on the back foot. And he's got nobody to work with him behind either. Namsko and Dino are not going to be there. Rowan's going to have his own private battle with Dino, who I may add, by the way, had a qualifying ban at the start of this race, was right at the back of the field and is now in 6th somehow.
Yeah. Aston Martin will be loving this one. They've had a fantastic race from both sides. Dino does have a penalty. It's a 3 seconds. He's going to lose a couple of positions with it. Hence why I wouldn't say Rowan is too annoyed about or too anxious to get past him. He'll pick up the position anyways, but what could have been for Rowan? It's a disappointing result for the Alpine, but the pace was there, and if I was a senior member of the Outplayed Racing team, I'd be very happy with some very good performances. However, the points and positions they'll finish in will not necessarily show for it.
Yeah, definitely so, and especially for Rowan as well. That mistake coming out of turn number 1 was just the real nail on the coffin. He was right there for a podium, absolutely right there for a podium. He's now catching Dino, like God forbid, he's really catching him in towards turn 1. He's going to try and get the job done. That spin, by the way, is for Nuth, who I think has just came out the pit lane and picked up a 10-second penalty on the left-hand side coming out of turn number 2 as well. Yeah, he ran wide. And that is pretty much his race. Ron Nuth has not enjoyed this whatsoever. Another 10-second penalty. And do you know what? If he picks up another one, I think he might be getting disqualified from this race. Look, he's got back going again, though. Kian leads the way. Volakongan in 2nd. Stefano in 3rd. It looks set pretty much for a top 3 finish.
And where credit's due for Nuth, though, I have to say, he did run wide to let literally every single driver through. That's hence why he ran wide. He put my heart... He put my heartbeat up about by 100 beats per minute when I saw a car on the apex of turn 1, miles off the apex of turn 1, I should say, when running aboard with Volakongan. But certainly Nuth has, it's good sportsmanship, but it's been a terrible race since that first lap. And it's not been his own fault, I suppose. He's had a couple of spins here and over there, but overall, dreadful result for a man who was on good form.
Yeah, and 2023 not starting off the way that he would have hoped, certainly from Nuth. I know he'll be capable of a lot better. Kian, though, onto the final lap of the race here in Portimao. It has been very, very simple from the front from Kian. After those pit stops, after getting the jump on Stefano, no looking back at all. There was questions about his pace, and there's questions as well about whether Dino's going to get 6th position as well, because he's now right under pressure from Rowan once again into the right-hander of turn 3 at Lagos. But Kian can just honestly be a down at him, but he's done enough. He's going to win this race, absolutely hand over fist. Doesn't want to try and get too cocky now. He doesn't want to try and lose the race win on the final lap of the race. Rowan, though, right on the back of Dino and towards Torre Vip turn number 5. But Kian has controlled this race throughout, and do you know what? He absolutely deserves this race win. I couldn't think of a better man to actually get the race win than Kian. He has looked in a consummate ease, I've got to say, out on track after he got that jump on Stefano in those pit stops. It has been no looking back from Kian's perspective. He now comes into the final corners of turn 13, now through Sagres, then at the right-hander of turn number 14, which he enters now, gets on the power on the exit, coming through the very tricky Galp corner at turn 15. Kian, though, around the final corner at Galp, is going to take the first win of PSGL F2 in 2023. Kian to the line, wins in Portugal from Volakongan in the end in 2nd, who's pulled away massively in the end from Stefano there in 3rd, Devon there in 4th. Namsko in the end is just going to get 5th, I think, with penalties for Dino, dropping him down a couple of positions. Rowan there in 6th. Ron 7th, Aries and 8th, Dino in the end in 9th with those penalties. Axie there in 10th, completes the top 10 provisionally, of course. Ferry, and we wait on Mitchie and Noah to finish the race as well. Futzbab and Nuth already crossing the line a lap down. But Kian taking the win, Vola Congan in 2nd, Stefano in 3rd, and Kian absolutely deserved that. He took the race for the scruff of the neck from the midpoint, didn't look back.
A pit stop and that strategical timing was crucial in this race win for the Aston Martin man. He'll be delighted with it because it all went perfectly for him. There was no real mistake. Burned up his battery too early. It's something to work on for previous races, and it's always good to review and reflect even the best possible results. Is that Mitchie retiring before the line? Oh, there's always one, isn't there? But
he's crashed coming through before the line.
Oh my! He's very lucky he's not in the points because that's just embarrassing. But yeah, he's not in the points and he's crashed before the line. So it's another position for the Hasma of Noah, but overall it doesn't matter really much. They were both outside the points placings.
Yeah, they were indeed, but Mitchie, I think, was going to probably look at that and think, I wish I didn't do that now. Dino, though, gets dropped at A-Ward by the in-game fans. Yet, to be fair, from 20th on the grid in the end up to 9th, I think, with those penalties, did a fantastic job to get even that far up the field. But in the end, I think my driver there is certainly going to go to the man who absolutely controlled that race through the second half. We had no safety cars, no VSEs in this race either. Could have spiked things up, didn't spice things up. In the end, though, it is that man there to the top step of the podium. Kian walking down the walkway now onto the top step of the podium. Normally get interesting celebrations, and he does the beautiful walk like an Egyptian, which I've got to say is very well pulled off by his AI driver on the top step of the podium there. But it is Kian on the top step, absolutely deserved it, and now, of course, he's going to be right in the mix potentially for the championship. Obviously, with Stefano now dropping points as well, and Namsko certainly dropping points, that brings Kian potentially right into play.
Yeah, it really does, and if Keane can keep up this momentum, they say the first win is hardest to get. If he can keep up this momentum, who knows? Who knows? Maybe it could be an unforgettable end to the season for the Dutchman. But James, I'll let you run through the full race results.
Yep, it could well be indeed. Kian, though, takes the win from Volakongan in second. By the way, just look at their fastest lap times. Only 500ths of a second covering their fastest lap times. That's how consistent the top two were here tonight. Stefano there in third, but Devon 14th on the grid up to fourth. Did a fantastic job in the Red Bull. Namskill there in fifth, dropping points. Not as many as what he would have hoped, I'm sure. But with the fastest lap as well, he does get, I believe, no extra points for that as well. So Rowan there in sixth, Ron, Aries, Dino, and then Axie top 10. Ferry, Noah, Mitchie, Futzfab, Nuth top 15. They were the finishers. Sapala, Yusbrand, Aroka, Harry, and Jerry right down at the bottom end of the field. The two former WR drivers, now, of course, part of PSGL. They are, of course, going to come back, I'm sure, better off next week. But with that being said, and hopefully with messages already put into the F2 chat, or have we got people waiting in the waiting room? No, we haven't. Hopefully, though, we are going to see possible podium interviews.
Hopefully, I'll get a message in now. There's no one in the waiting room, but I doubt you're too surprised of that, James, to be honest. But we'll try and get the podium in. I think a lot of people would like to hear from Keane because he had a few supporters in the chat, and all the new guys really do have some supporters, some great support from friends and family in the PSGL F2 tier, and we love to see it. So we'll try get Keane in, we'll try get Volakongan in, and then Stefano, who I believe came third, in as well. But yeah, that race shuffles up the championship a little bit, and I don't think anyone would complain about that.
Definitely not. And with Steph's absence, obviously leaving PSF2 for various reasons, I think it was because, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't because he transferred over to PC. I think it was something to do with football coaching changing to a different day, perhaps. That's why he left. I know there was certainly a reason in the Discord that I saw about Steph leaving. Yeah, Steph. I'm sure.
No, he's gone to PSGL F1.
He's going to. Oh my god.
We are going to hear from Keane, by the way. He's agreed to an interview. But yeah, Steph has gone to PSGL F1 and he has set his sight there, driving in the Haas, I believe.
Driving in the Haas. Goodness me, what am I making up as we go along? Goodness.
Maybe he's a football coach. I don't know where you've read that. Maybe he is.
I do so many different leagues. Honestly, I forget sometimes. But yeah, hopefully Kian can join the waiting room. We'll get him straight in, of course, when he does. But what we can bring you up to date on while we wait for Kian is a change in the calendar, and it's a big change in the calendar as well. Because you might be now eagle-eyed if you haven't seen it on Discord. That Abu Dhabi is now no longer our season finale. That is going to be on the 25th to the 30th of January, both for PC and for PS as well. It's because WR, I believe, are running Abu Dhabi on that week, so that's why PSGL don't want to run it on the where United States is for round 11. So Abu Dhabi is going to be round 10, and United States and Austin, Texas for the season finale, perhaps for the championship starter as well in round 11 of the championship. And with that change, Evan, it doesn't really make much of a difference where they're placed, to be honest. But Abu Dhabi for Austin, Austin is a season finale now. That could be quite interesting.
Certainly could. I think Austin's a really, really interesting season finale because I know any race we've commentated together around the Circuit of the Americas has been unbelievable. As I've heard my Discord ping, James, I believe we have our race winner with us now.
We do indeed have a race winner with us now, and of course that is Mr. OP Kian. And Kian, it was a race where you were chasing in the first half of the race, you were being chased in the second half. You got that strategy call completely right. Talk us through it.
Do you guys hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, I knew the undercut was faster here the overcut with one lap was faster here. So I just did that when Stefano went in, full push on the in lap, and I got in front of him, it was nice. But I got kind of lucky with the back marker, it was in front of me, so I got the DRS from him, so I could stay in front, and from there on, I could just put my medium pace in, which was good.
Yeah, it looked really impressive. I've got to. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go.
It's totally fine. There's loose connections, I think, going on in the ether perhaps there. But yeah, I was going to say, really good pace. You did that undercut. Talk us through what was going through your head and what the fine margins were coming out the pit lane. Because I honestly thought you were going to be had down in towards turn 5.
Yeah, well, the in-lap was just good, so I got in front of Stefano, and that was just it. I got the DRS from the back marker, so from there on I could just stay in front. And I heard that Stefano had no ERS left, so I got full push, and then can run out to 1 second.
Yeah, and once you got out that 1 second, it was pretty much plain sailing. Obviously, Volakongan overtook Stefano in the late stages. Were you fearful that Volakongan on those 2-lap pressure tyres could try and get you, or did you just think you had the pace?
No, not really. I was pretty confident in my pace.
Nice to hear indeed. Mr. Evan Dalton, any questions?
Yeah, I do. It was P10 last week, P1 this week. You're gaining on the championship leader. Is this the start of an unbelievable championship comeback to maybe take the F2 title?
Well, I hope so. The next few tracks are good ones for me. Unfortunately, last week with Silverstone, or last race with Silverstone, I had a quali ban, but that was one of my best tracks. So it's really unfortunate for the quali ban, but I think, yeah, the opportunities are there.
And then, James, how do we do this every week? No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think you're going to ask.
I was breaking the awkward silence, James. You go ahead, sir.
Well, final question then, obviously, is on the calendar, and of course it's Belgium next week. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
Good. It's my best track, Spa, so I'm looking forward to that.
Best track, so maybe hoping for another win then?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting to hear. We'll hopefully see you then again in the podium interviews next week. But Mr. Kian, go and enjoy your evening.
Yes. Thanks, mate. Bye-bye. Thanks for the interview.
Very welcome indeed. And of course, a pleasure to hear from our race winner. Of course, taking time out of his day and out of our day as well to bring you that interview, which is fantastic. And hopefully we get more of that to come in 2023, of course, as, of course, we will have a look and more in-depth look, of course, in the calendar. We mentioned about Abu Dhabi and Austin. Next week, though, Mr. Evan Dalton, is the longest track on the F1 calendar, the dinosaur-shaped track, of course, of Belgium. Are we perhaps hoping that Dino could do quite well around there?
No, never say that sentence again. But anyways, Belgium. Now we get into the business of things, and now we get into some Grand Prix racing. I suppose caviar, if you could describe it as that. It is the finest of tracks for PSGL. It is bound to be an unbelievable race. It's going to be a classic as we head into the dying end of the season. Round 8 out of 11. Business gets started now. If you want to win a championship, you have to get your mindset correct, and there's no more time for errors. Spa, of course, being, as you said, the longest track, just over 7 kilometers, I believe, but probably a bit off with that. It has some of the most iconic corners. We've had some of the best races in PSGL history in there, and you don't want to miss it.
You do not want to miss it indeed, of course, in Belgium, and it is going to be fantastic, I am sure, to see the racing around there. It is always historical in its facts, historical, of course, in its nature, and hopefully we're going to be seeing you, of course, next week once again. If you do want to see top tier racing, though, PSF1 is currently now live, so if you do want to go and have a look at that, I will tune into the stream myself right now and bring you up to date what is going on. Rowan out on top, Ogiano second, Louis there in third, soft compound qualifying at the end, and a 16.477 from Rowan, currently the best lap, right at the dying depth of qualifying there, with only 17 drivers as well, so we had more attendance here in F2 than F1. Hopefully, though, some good racing to be had in F1. And we are going to let you go and watch that racing right now. So for myself and Mr. Evan Dalton, thank you so much for watching F2 tonight. We're not going to keep you any longer with the race just beginning on F1. We will see you, of course, next week in Belgium. So for myself and Evan, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.
Podcast was brought to you by GT Omega, proudly supporting PSGL.